Good morning, friends, followers, channel members. Welcome to our historic flight stream this morning. Slight hiccup as we got started, everything loaded up, then the sim crashed, so we've hit reload and we're loading back in now. Good morning, Gary, Fitzy, Christian, Chalty. Christian, you don't want to talk about yesterday. Oh, no, can I promise that? Probably not. Lewis, what have you done? Danny Rubble, good morning as well. Good morning to you. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. I'm still nowhere near competent enough in this aircraft, but it's just such a nice aircraft to fly. Old school navigation combined with airliner flying. What is not to love? We're on live weather and live time as well. Once we've loaded in, we're still loading away. I can see the blue bar is slowly moving. There it is. So we're on the ground at Heathrow. Obviously, we are not on VATSIM. I would never want to fly this aircraft on VATSIM, not yet. Anyway, has anyone done it? I'd love to know if anyone's flown this aircraft on VATSIM. That would be fantastic if they have. Good luck to you. As you can see, here we are. We are now loaded in, and hopefully things will be working nice and smoothly for the remainder of the flight. Lewis, it's coming home. I'm sure Christian may have something to say about that. David, this is your first time catching a live stream. Oh, fantastic. Sadly, we don't get to do too many streams in the daytime anymore, just because, well, everyone, including myself, is heading back to work, aren't they? So, indeed. Oh, Willie, you're hiding in the background as well. Shut up, Lewis. Oh, Willie, it was a distant memory for you, wasn't it, the last time you guys played? I love it. I love it. Oh, yeah, I am still, as a big football fan, still very, very happy with how things panned out yesterday. Panned out, we're in Pan American World Airlines, to give it its full name, of course. So I'm just resetting a couple of things here, and then we'll start to get going. Lord Cuddy on Twitch, you're doing a cheeky look as well as you're back at work. Yes, so many people are back at work, which of course is a great thing. Of course it is. We want everyone back at work, but it does mean, of course, that we miss you all during some of the live streams that we do, particularly ones during the daytime like this. Which is why sometimes I now do a more evening stream, so that's obviously when a few more people are around. Of course, there shall be no live stream on Saturday evening, just in case you were wondering. No live stream Saturday evening. Why on earth could that be, I wonder? So excuse me, I'm just rambling away. I am still setting a couple of things up whilst I get this sorted. I did just have a bit of a sim crash, so I'm having to just quickly sort things out with regards to that and just code a few things back in. Right, I think we're all about good to go. Right. So is there any experts in the chat that are familiar with this aircraft? Because I cannot claim to be one. I shall be relying heavily on my flight engineer today to help us get from point A to point B. Let's hit start. Let's get on board. I love this aircraft. Fantastic. Willie, you know that knocking Germany out will reignite the 1966. Oh, they think it's all over. It is now. Of course. How many times have we heard that being played in the last 24 hours? Steve, there is one on the way. There is an Easy Prop livery on the way. So don't worry too much about that. So we've got the GPU. That's all there. Let's just get all the chocks on as well. So the engineers can come, check everything is working as it should. There we are. They can go and maintain those engines for me. As I say, everything needs to be looking as we would expect. And I'm just checking the custom views that I've got set up for this. There, we've got some nice custom views all working. What a beautiful looking aircraft. Shame about this mess over here. Looks like someone's got a big oil stain on the front of the aircraft. Not sure why that happens, just some sort of rendering issue. Gary, you had a crash yesterday in the middle of a VAT sim instruction. Do you mean an aircraft crash or a sim crash? Aircraft crash is hopefully preventable. Sim crash? Probably not at the moment. So let me just see, what are we doing today? So we're flying from London Heathrow over to to Shannon, and we are old school with no GPS, nothing like that. So indeed it is going to be absolutely just well, just us on our own. Well, let's start getting passengers on board, then we'll start pulling the we'll start getting the flight engineer sorted. I love the little you can hear the stairs falling out. I love all of that, all that noise. It's fantastic. Look, there they go. There's the noise. Such detail. The day that I start to actually see passengers walking into the aircraft, well, you know, we had it in FSX, didn't we? And I'm sure graphics will look far, far better should we get that here in in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Right. So let me just come down here and let's set what we need. So the fuel and load manager, we're going to take around £7,000 of fuel, I think it is. Where's the fuel? We don't need that much. Let's go down. We want about £7,000. Oh, £7,500. Oh no, we can set that £7,000 of fuel, and we want a payload of now here's my problem. I've got I've just realised I've got my sim brief still in kilograms, and obviously I want it in pounds. So quick conversion. We want a payload of around about 15,000, is that right? Well, we want to certainly scroll that up. What's our weight doing? Let me just check. Gross weight of the aircraft is going to be, so the takeoff weight is around I really needed to create an operational flight plan in kilograms, don't I? Right, well, I'll tell you what, let's get that fully loaded, and we obviously want some baggage in there as well. Not full, we don't want to be full, that'll do. So 75% full of baggage, and we do want more than 34 passengers. Well, let's fill it up. 68 passengers putting their lives in my hands, which means our takeoff weight is going to be 87,800. So it is going to be a wet takeoff today. That's what I was looking for. We want to have a wet takeoff today, so that's the main thing. Willie, DC-6 challenge long haul, Heathrow to Rome. Yeah, it could do 4,000 miles, this aircraft. 4,000 miles. How long would that take? No idea. No idea. Gary, I am a brave man. Well, who's braver, me or the passengers getting on board? David, yeah, so you spent 6-7 hours in the DC-6 and you can confidently say you will click on a switch or button accidentally while zooming around the flight deck, yep. And then it'll take you about 5 minutes to figure out what on earth you've done. I completely agree. Maintenance manager, oh, look at this, everything's fine, obviously nothing wrong just there. Right, so that is all loaded. Well, if all the passengers are, all the weights are now popped in, we should be able to have a look and start turning things on. So have we got the ground power? The ground power is connected. I've also got self-loading cargo working as well. I don't know how well self-loading cargo is going to work with this. I guess we'll find out shortly. So is the GPU connected? Yes, it is. So let's go with ground power. And hopefully that's now connected. Well, you can't see me doing 4,000 miles in this. Well, yes, apparently the range is about 4,000 miles. Whether I'm doing that or not, I don't see me doing that, no. That's got to be like, how long's that? About 10 hours? That's ridiculous. Right, let's start to remove a few things. In fact, you know what? The flight engineer can sort that out, can't he? So let's run the before starts.
Cockpit pre-flight.
Cabin crew, we're happy to get going now, so as soon as you're ready,
Voice
drop
recorder.
it off and start letting passengers on board.
Tasted. Oil coolers and cab flaps. Water in position. Fuel and fluids. Checked. Pressurization. Set.
So I can hear the flight engineer running through everything.
Manifold and duct pressure. Checked.
Passengers are also boarding.
Radios. Checked. Doors and hatches.
I'm also changing this to a no GPS radio, so we've got the old school radio there. There we go.
Closed. Door warning lights. Out. Gear pins. Removed. 3 on board. Seat belts and pedals. Adjusted. Throttles. Set to idle. Propellers. Forward and 3.
So interestingly enough, self-loading
Objects complete.
cargo,
Start engines.
self-loading cargo seems to interact with the door. So if I unlock that, because I can now open that, close that again, and the passengers start boarding. So let me just load that. That's a bit strange, isn't it? The passengers aren't exactly coming in through the window, but never mind. Aviation 20. Good evening. Nightbot is indeed screwed up. Let's just kick the Nightbot into touch, shall we? I always forget to reset the Nightbot when doing stuff like this. So let me just disable that. Although I'd be quite happy to take more German fans back home. They're going home. They're going. I really shouldn't sing. Wonder how many times It's Coming Home has been streamed since the game yesterday. I'm guessing a few thousand. Few 100,000 more likely. So, we're just waiting for the last few passengers to get on board. And I'm going to start by also setting our ADF and VORs. So our first waypoint, obviously old school navigation, we're not so much on major airways, but we're off to Compton as we depart, so it's going to be 114.35, and then after that it's is it the Brecon Beacons, something like that? Brecon, yeah. Which could be confused for Barcelona if you're not careful, but Compton is first. 114.35, let's get that in. 114.35. I've just heard a very large bang in the room above me. That concerns me. And then the following is going to be 117.45. And also pop this in over here, 117.45. Oh, I love having to play with radios. So nice. I can't quite pick up the Brecon at the moment, but we're 26 miles away from Compton. Beautiful aircraft. So Ellis, how do I know where I'm going without GPS? Well, we have to use good old school navigation, VORs, which is how I learnt to navigate in Cessna many years ago. About 14 passengers remaining. All of those are now set, so...
Fine, yeah, we're just about set up here, so they can close the door once everyone's on board. Thank you.
They can close those doors, apparently. So once we've departed, we're departing on runway 09 left. We'll make a left-hand turn, so we'll be heading around. Well, we'll be heading westbound. Yeah, as we can see, we'll be heading westbound. We'll definitely be using the autopilot today as well. It's not called the autopilot in this aircraft; it's the gyro pilot. So Willie, London to Rome and the DC-6 are about 3.5 hours. Yeah, it's a decent length stream, that, isn't it? Last couple of passengers getting on board. Aviation 20, what is that black part on the front? I have no idea, because it doesn't happen here. It only happens when we have a different view. So no idea what that is, I'm afraid. It's just a problem with delivery, so I don't know if PMDG are aware of that. They probably are. Something they can fix in due course, I presume. But here is the Clipper Liberty Bell Pan American World Airlines as we take her from London Heathrow over to Shannon. Fingers crossed for a safe flight. Right, all passengers are on board. We now need to close the doors. Now, how on earth do we do that? I thought all doors were closed. Let's have a quick look. Ramp manager.
Captain, all passengers are on board and we're finished setting up. Doors are also now closed.
Well,
Great stuff, thank you very much.
are the doors closed? Not according to self-loading cargo. That's a little bit strange, isn't it? Pretty certain all doors are closed. I can't see any reasons why they're not. Anyway, I think we're about ready to go. So you only get that black spot if you're using a custom view. So yeah, that happens with the custom view. But the moment you go back to a normal view, it looks absolutely fine. See? So that's just a little bit weird. But never mind. Right, we're going to have to get ready to depart now. Self-loading cargo still saying that we've not got... well, we've not got the doors closed. Pretty certain we have. I'm certainly not going to fly with the door open. It sounds like we've got the doors closed now, doesn't it? Self-loading cargo's shut up. But if I do that, it opens the doors again, which is just rubbish. So, well, never mind. Right, flight engineer, let's get ready to start those engines. So, we've done the before start. Let's just check. Have we got the mixture sorted for engine number 3, which we're going to start first? That's set to auto rich. That's fine. So, let's come up here and check. So, that's on both. Select 3. Booster pumps to low. Alright, let's start engine 3.
3, 6, 9, 12.
So that sounds good. I can hear that has fired its way up. RPMs, engine number 3 showing a good start. I love the little vibrating controls and the way that the the gauges just wobble that little bit as well. Okay, so now we'll move on to engine number 4. Mixture to auto rich. Engine number 4, set to low and start. Maxim, good morning. Christian, good morning as well. Oh, what am I doing? Don't try that. Let's try that instead, shall we? Right, why is engine number 4 not starting? Oh, because I just left the engine selected to number 3, that's why.
3, 6, 9, 12.
So let's check engine number 4. Should be running up in a second. Here comes the RPMs. That sounds good. Let's now have a look at engine number... In fact, we can remove the ground power unit now, can't we? So let's go to the ramp manager, get rid of the ground power unit, and switch that over to the plane's battery. Now for engine number 2. And fuel, make sure we select engine selector number 2 and start.
3, 6, 9, 12.
You can just see that spinning up there. I'm trying to stick my head out of the window, but you can't move the camera out of the flight deck, sadly. Positive start. Those switches have resetted, so now let's do the final engine. And we're a go for engine number 1.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Look at that wire vibrating up there. I've not seen that before. That's quite neat, isn't it? Right, so I think we've got positive engine start on all of those. Let's close the window now, shall we? Right, let's run the after start checks from the flight engineer.
Start selected boost pumps. Off and off. Battery switch. Plane venting. Generators and burners. Checked and on. Emergency lights. Armed. Ground tower. Removed. After start checks complete.
So after start checks have all been completed. Now, the next thing I should be able to do is use the reverser to reverse out of here. Now, unfortunately, I don't always have much luck in doing that. I've also still got a problem with self-loading cargo. I think self-loading cargo is fighting with the aircraft. It sounds to me like this window is open, even though visually it's looking as closed, isn't it? If I just unlock that, that now sounds quieter, which isn't correct, is it? It should sound louder. I've opened the window. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here. According to the ramp manager, all the stairs and everything is all closed. Let me just try something. So if we open the main cabin exit, let's just open that. We might not be able to do that actually with the engines running. It might prevent it. Yeah, I can't do that. So who knows? Maybe we'll just fly really low today in case we've got a problem. Let's close that then and lock that up. As you can hear, all the propellers now get louder. So that's most certainly not normal. Right, I'm going to check the cowl flaps are checked open. Remove the gust lock as well, which again I find a bit difficult to do in terms of where we're actually pushing that. Oh, there we go. That's done. Right. So we're not going to lift the parking brake just yet. Let's go back to the flight engineer. And then we want to, as I say, reverse out. Now, in order to do this, what I'd like to do is be able to set that, actually to set this to idle, and then we should be able to, yeah, see, I can't actually select reverse, which is a pain on there. Now, the turning circle of the DC-6 is actually really good. I might just be able to spin this around. Let's spin it around to the... what do we reckon, guys? Let's spin it around to the left. Nice and slowly. So, nice and slowly. Spin that around to the left. And then we'll run the before takeoff checks. So, parking brake. We'll release that. We may just start to edge forward a little bit. Here we go. It's got a great turning circle, this aircraft, thankfully. Damn it, go left, otherwise we'll hit the poor man. Okay, after before takeoff checks.
Wrist pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carbide. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and quantity checked. Okay. Flaps 20. Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine. Closed and on. Controls. Gust lock released. Free. Detonator. On. Mixture and cowl flaps. Breach unlocked. Set. Transponder. On. Landing lights.
just sitting up for our taxi. The landing lights are on
Takeoff checks complete.
as well. Take this next right. Departing runway 09 left. So we'll taxi straight onto the runway. I've got no other air traffic to worry about today. I can still hear self-loading cargo fighting with the doors. We may just have to abandon self-loading cargo. What it does mean is, though, you won't hear passengers screaming, which is kind of sad. Okay, let's hold that just here. We're going to take off around about 100 knots. And we're going to be taking off with a wet takeoff. So that's all done. Let me just check the flaps are down 20, which they are. Everything is now set neutral. Let's get ready to go. Okay, we could try that, couldn't we? Let's just see. Let's go to the pushback. Have we got any of the... we've not got the jetway. Let's see. Oh, Gary, what a great idea. It's done it. Let me just have a quick scan outside visually. Oh, Gary, you're a genius. We fixed it. And everything is quieter in the flight deck now. So that's really nice. Let me close and get rid of that. Great stuff. So now, we should be about ready to go. So we're going to do a wet takeoff.
Water injection. On. 30 inches stabilize. 30 inches stabilize.
Flight engineer now controlling the throttles. Wayne on Facebook, good morning.
30 inches stabilized. Cal flaps. Cal flaps. Cal flaps set. Full power, please. Going full
Okay.
power.
Advance to full power. And we keep that brake applied for now. Water injection lights showing.
Full power set.
Full power is set. Release those brakes. Off we go, and we're going to take off at V1's around about 100 knots. So obviously keeping on that centre line and watching the speed, which is increasing really nicely, as we can see. And then we're gently going to pull back. We're not pulling back hard. 100 knots.
100 knots.
Up we go.
Nice ring. Gear up.
Gear up.
Gear selected up. Gear up. Lights out.
Continue that climb until we get to 165 knots, and then
Lights
we'll
up.
raise
Lights
that
going
nose to maintain 165 knots in the climb. And then we're going to start turning west to hit that first VOR. the competent VOR.
Meter power. Setting meter power 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
So there we go, raising that nose, hold that there. That looks good. I'm now going to pop on the gyro.
Meter power set. Climb power. Setting climb power.
So I can now release the side stick. And we're now going to begin our left-hand turn.
Climb power set.
Climb power is now set.
And the takeoff checklist, please. After takeoff checks complete.
And today's altitude is 12,000 feet that we're going to be climbing up to. Christian, yeah, the engineer did switch it to climb this time. We heard him call that, so that's neat. And I'm controlling our rate of climb now with this little trim wheel here, which is part of the autopilot. Now I want to track that VOR, and again we can use the autopilot for that. So if we set the VOR there and then move the selector to localizer, that should now begin and track that. Just want to lower that nose a little bit, just because that airspeed is dropping below 160 knots. You've got to tease this aircraft. You can't just quickly move the trim wheel as fast as you want and let the avionics of the aircraft increase and decrease the rate. It's all mechanical, so the moment you move that switch there's a mechanical connection between that and the flight control surfaces, which I sometimes fail to remember. Right, hang on a minute. Let's just check what's going on here. So the autopilot disconnected. I'm not sure why that autopilot disconnected, to be honest, but we've ended up coming around flying southbound. Didn't want to do that. So autopilot is disconnected at the moment. I have control again, which is alright as long as I know we've got control. We heard the alarm. Let's reset that. And again, just having to set that trim wheel. We only want to climb about 1,000 feet per minute, or 165 knots. So let me release the mechanical lock. Now we can pop that back on again. That's better. So now we're going to track that VOR. I think it was because I told it to track the VOR and I'd still got the turn wheel set over to the left and it needed to be centered. So I think that's the reason that happened. So as I say, it's going to be 12,000 feet, our cruising altitude today. Airshow, you can't be doing with it. You prefer to flying the 320. I love the 320, but just occasionally, you know, particularly since this has come out, I love the idea of flying something just different, just a little odd. Danny, it is following now, yeah. 25 miles away from the Compton VOR. Willie, you can't say that, even if it is true. I'm surprised. How did that not get censored? So I'm just increasing our rate of climb. As you can see, airspeed is dropping back nicely. That's fine. I mean, the A320 is good, but just look at those views. Like Indiana Jones 4 by Spielberg. Yeah, that wasn't a great film, was it? Haven't they just suspended filming for number 5 because Harrison Ford's hurt himself? Well, there we go. We continue to climb at that. We should be good. Now that we're airborne, can we pick up the second VOR, the Beacon VOR? Oh yeah, about 99 miles away, so we can save a bit of time. We'll go direct to that one, which means, let me set that to gyro pilot, so we're going straight. We're now going to flick this over 117.45 and then set that, and now put that back to localizer. And now we're tracking straight towards the Brecon VOR, which I believe, of course, is in Wales. Climb rate still looks good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll shortly begin our cabin service as we continue to climb to our cruising altitude. You may now use your electronic devices. Rechargeable battery packs are also available to purchase from our cabin crew.
Rechargeable battery packs, portable electronic devices. Yeah, something tells me I need to create a new sound pack for the DC-6. Smoking will be permitted above 10,000 feet. Christian, he has hurt himself. Yeah, something to do with his shoulder. I don't think he landed on a taxiway this time. So once we get up to 12,000 feet, we'll arrest the rate of climb, and then we shall put on the altitude hold, which is just this switch down here. I mean, look at that for a box of... wait, what contraption is this? I can't even begin to imagine what all the cabling looks like, as was it Willie that was saying a little bit earlier. The cabling for this is ridiculous. So this is 10,000 feet, we're just about to pass. So there's 10,000 feet. Now the lights will be able to, I think, are the lights already retracted? I think so, they're in the retract position. So again, always looking ahead, our next VOR is the Stronghold 113.1. Pop that in up here. And we can check. Oh, we could even pick that up. 156 miles away. Right, so there's a time saver. Let's go ahead and track Stronghold VOR, shall we? We'll level off at 12,000 feet, and then we'll head out towards the Stronghold VOR. all for saving time and fuel. So let's just start to slow that rate of climb down, lowering that nose. So that's looking good. 11,700, coming up on 11,800. I'll just look to start leveling that off, 12,000 feet. See how well we can manage this. Pop that lock on. Hey, look at that. Bang on 12,000 feet. Wonderful. Right, so now we're at our cruising altitude. We'll run the cruise checks.
Set cruise power, please. Setting cruise power.
And that airspeed will start to increase, obviously.
Cruise power is set.
Okay, so as I said, we can
Cruise
now
checks are complete.
cruise checks complete. Now we can look at tracking the Stronghold VOR, which is what, 113.1. In order to do that, we're going to switch this back over to the gyro pilot as we switch frequencies here to 1131. $145 miles away. And let's track that VOR. Starbucken, good evening to you. Good evening. Good morning even. So we're only cruising at what, 200 and what's that, 205 knots? $205 knots seems like a very, very slow cruise. Lord Akuni, welcome, sir. Thank you very, very much for supporting the Easyjetsimpilot channel. Hope we're providing you with some entertainment this morning, and a big thank you for your very kind support of the channel. Hope to see you obviously on this flight and many more to come. But thanks you very much. I really do appreciate your support, and all the other Easyjetsimpilot channel members as well. So, Lord, welcome to the Captain's Club. Really great to have you. Really great to have you on board. So airspeed is increasing slowly. Interesting to see what our operational flight program is cruising at. So it has us cruising at around 280 knots. Now SimReef does actually have a DC-6, a DC-6 aircraft profile. Willie, that's why I like you. You still refer to me as a young'un. How old am I? I'm old enough to remember Euro 96 and the missed penalty. How's that?
Ladies and gentlemen, all cabin crew will be around shortly to commence off on meal and snack service. Please ensure that your tray tables are in the downward position. To assist our cabin crew, please keep the aisles free of bags and any other items you may have. The food and snacks menu can be found in the back pocket of the seat in front of you. There is also a children's selection of food and healthy snacks available. Please dispose of any rubbish you may have in the bags provided at the end of the aisle. We accept payments in cash or credit and debit cards. Thank you for your support of this channel.
So the climb power settings for this is 40 inches and 2,400 RPM. But I could just do the aircraft increasing in speed a little bit. We're only doing 210 knots. I thought we were able to go a little bit faster than that. Well, we are able to go faster than that. How we do that, however, I don't want to really argue with the flight engineer. He's the guy that's meant to know what he's doing. Danny, how do you track a VOR? Right, how on earth can I explain that? So hang on, let me see. If I move this, does that change? Yes, it does. I don't want to do that. Okay, so it's probably easy to explain in a assess. I'll tell you what we'll do. Next time I have a VOR to track, I will show you. But essentially, VORs are just beacons which emit obviously a radio pulse out, a little bit like an ILS, and the aircraft can pick up that beam from the VOR, and it can work out where the VOR is and what heading to fly in order to reach that VOR by turning the OBS dial down here. You see ignore the horizontal line, that's only for an ILS, but the vertical line at this point is the as you saw me move that, it moved left and right as I moved the compass dial around. So I need to fly this heading to track that VOR, and that is the heading, as you can see down here, this is my actual compass that I'm flying. At the moment, the aircraft itself is tracking that VOR. It'll be a lot easier to explain when I do this for the next VOR in a few moments. So stick with me, Danny, and I'll try and help you out with that, because it's a lot easier to explain either if I've got a pen and paper in front of me, or I actually do it in the aircraft. So we're currently headed towards the Stronghold VOR. After the Stronghold VOR, the next one is going to be this one just here, the Glentig VOR, Golf, Tango Golf. So 114.15, we need to put that frequency, 114.15. I'm going to put that in the standby, or rather radio 2, so 114.15. So I'm going to flip that over. So that's now in radio 2. Just as with the Airbus, you've got the one in use and you've got the one in standby. This is radio 1. This is radio 2. One in use, one in standby. So I've now got that VOR. The next VOR we're going to track 114.115 in radio 2. If I come down here, I can select this over. As you can see, we've got no information on it. We're too far away. VORs have a limited range of around. It all depends on your height as well, because essentially it's line of sight. So the higher up you are, the further away you can be when you're tracking it. But we're only 12,000 feet. Then we're probably going to be looking around 100. Well, we picked this one up at 150 miles away, didn't we? So we're currently 150 miles away from the one that we're tracking at the moment over Wales. and then we're going to track the next one. As I say, I'll show you how we do that once it comes time to track it. Now, I don't know what the weather's actually like at Shannon. I'm hoping it's not, the visibility isn't too bad, because I rely quite a bit on visual navigation still when flying this aircraft. Cumbrig, good morning! We are indeed aboard the Bone Shake. So, oh my word, did I just press something? I really hope I didn't. I thought I saw that move. Did that move? Can someone rewind the stream back and see if that moved? I don't even know what that does. That's the left, is that the left-hand cylinder? Something like that? These are marked in red, so I'm gonna guess that they're things like fire suppressants. I really don't want to be messing with those. I mentioned this on the first stream I did with this aircraft. Because everything works, because everything works, you've got to be very careful when zooming in and out and panning around. So Danny, when we track the next VOR, I promise it'll be very easy to explain. Bart, did it move? I thought it moved. I don't want to deploy the left-hand cylinder engine fire suppressant. I think if the problem is, how do I move it back without? Oh wow! It popped out when I touched it. How do I pop it back in? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the command is for that. Oh. Should we just try not to touch that again? Christian, I like chasing VORs. As I say, that's how I originally learnt to fly. Oh, look at that. All the engines are in within normal stress range, so that's perfect. Everything's working beautifully. I could hit it with a hammer, Bart. Yes, I could. And I'm pretty certain in the past that's how some of the engineers did fix some of these old aircraft. Christian, just click it. I've still got 3 engines. Yeah, I'd like to keep all 4 running though, if at all possible. Can you imagine, guys, if we did a transatlantic stream in this aircraft? Captain Hoodrix T, good morning. So, is there anybody here that's a little bit more au fait with me? I want to try and increase our airspeed. I can obviously disengage the flight engineer. As the flight engineer, I believe, uses medium power cruise settings. In fact, if I jump in here somewhere, I don't know if it's this up here that gives us information. Oh my word, I think I just clicked another button. Oh no, that's takeoff and landing. I didn't know if it had cruise power settings available on here. So that's going to give us our approach speed when we are coming into land. We'll have a look at that in a little bit. So we could disable the flight engineer, couldn't we? Just try and increase that speed a little bit, push those RPMs. Right, so if we disable him, we then have control. So abort that. I now have control of the engines. So if we just increase the revs a little bit. Just try and increase that speed slightly. And we'll just push that forward, and we'll just keep an eye on everything. Now, I believe I hear the postman at the door, so just bear with me 2 minutes, and hopefully the aircraft engines won't explode while I go and answer the door. Back in a moment, guys. Okay, so I'm back, and good news is engines are all still working fine, and we can also check the stress. So mixture to lean. Now that's okay. So that's medium stress. No, we can put up with that. That's fine. It's not blinking red, so that's okay. Willie, they're locked. Yeah. So basically, this is what confused me when I first jumped into the flight deck. So you've got obviously engine 1, engine 2, engine 3, engine 4. Same here, engine 1, engine 2, engine 3, engine 4. And it's so that the first officer and the captain have both got access to the levers, but they are locked together. So what are we now? 200, about 220 knots, just over 220 knots. Captain Drixie, is the plane as hard as it looks to fly? It's very intimidating. You get in here, you've got dials for everything, and so it is intimidating. Yes. Is it hard to fly? Well, I think it's probably harder to land than it is to fly, as we'll find out in a little while. Right, Danny, are you there? Listen up. We're going to track our next VOR. Sorry, if we can pick it up. So, can we pick up the next VOR? Let's see. Oh no, we can't. So, Danny, go back to as you were. We can't pick it up just yet. We're still 80 miles away, just under 80 miles away from our. Our next VOR anyway. One of the things I miss in this, not that it matters whilst we're tracking the VOR, but one of the things I miss in this is there's no wind direction speed indicator, which of course you get used to looking at on the Airbus. You get used to looking at that just because you know that if you're crabbing through the flight or anything like that. Let's see if we've got any NDBs en route. So where are we? We're currently tracking Stronghold Vor. We've probably got some NDBs around, haven't we? Let's have a quick look. Hereford West, we're not headed there. That's where we are anyway. I don't know if there's any NDBs actually looking at Navraf. There's none around here. Mind you, they've got VRs. If you've got VRs, you don't need NDBs, do you? But they're just useful so you know roughly whereabouts you are. There's one just here, the Shobden VR, which is 426, not the VR, sorry, NDB, 426. Let's see if we can tune that one in. 426. Let's change that. Oops. Try again. I was already on the right one. 4. Scroll that back. 4, 2, 6. Can we pick that up? Oh yeah, there it is. So we've just passed it. So from a navigation point of view, because what I don't want to use, I don't want to bring up the VFR map. I don't want to bring that VFR map up if I can help it. So we can see now that we're headed direct to the Stronghold VOR, which is here. And we've just tuned in the Shobden NDB, which is just there, and it is, we've just gone to beam it. You can just see it's just over our right hand shoulder, so very slightly over there, which means from a guidance point of view that we're probably around here, so we're actually probably right over the Brecon Beacons VOR, or very close, as we head out towards Stronghold. Old school navigation. Jonathan, you could stay all day long watching the DC-6 fly. Well, who knows? Maybe one day we will do a long haul in the DC-6. We're still over Wales. Still looking beautiful. Anyone fancy grabbing me a weather report for Shannon? I think we've planned to land on runway 6, I believe. It's going to be a VOR approach, of course. In fact, does it have an ILS? I think it has an ILS. Let's have a quick look. So close that down. So yes, we're planning runway 6. I don't think we can fly any of these approaches because they are well, all of these approaches, they're the stars. They just get us to the Shannon VOR, because all of these approaches we've got the ILS approach, which is essentially what we're going to do. We're going to fly over the Shannon VOR, but they're going to head out from the Shannon VOR at 250 heading. Once we're 14 miles from the Shannon VOR, we make a left-hand turn to come back in and track the ILS down. Oh, thank you guys. So, what do we got? Latest one is the one I think Danny's just provided. So winds 3603, that's good, light winds, visibility is great, overcast though, 1,400 feet. Oh, that's a little bit annoying. Temperature 14, QNH 1020. I could do with those clouds clearing, that would be nice. Initial approach restricted to a maximum of 210 knots. Yeah, I don't think that's going to concern us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to commence our service of hot drinks and alcoholic beverages. Please assist us by ensuring your tray tapes are down and that the aisles are kept clear of bags. Our drinks menu can be found in the pocket in front of you. We serve a variety of local and international coffee, tea, beers, wines, and spirits. Please note that alcoholic drinks will not be served to those under 18 years of age. We accept payment in cash or credit and debit cards. Thank you for your support of this channel.
It's a shame it's a little bit cloudy, just because I know the views at low-level airliner flying is is really nice. Although, look at that. It all looks amazing, doesn't it? So, can we see the coast of Wales coming up? What gets me is just look how close those propellers are to each other. They are so close. And I know that they're fixed lengths, so as long as nothing comes loose, they shouldn't ever interact. But wow. There was an airliner, wasn't there, once? It was smaller than this. I think it was a local regional propelled airliner. I forget what it was, and the propeller just came off mid-flight. Came off, propelled itself forward, obviously, because it hadn't got an aircraft attached, and just went back. I can't remember what happened in that case. Did it sever some cables as it went? Looks like the skies are clearing now, so that's good. Christopher, yeah, we were talking about this right at the start of the stream. It looks like they forgot to paint the fuselage above the cockpit. No, it does, but it isn't. If I come back out of the custom camera views, so let me just come back out there and then use the drone camera. No, it looks absolutely fine. They've sorted it. Imagine flying on one of these 60 years ago. So Ludkuni on Twitch, you think it sliced through part of the cabin and then fell away? Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember the exact nature of that flight and how it panned out. The general textures in Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator anyway, are just incredible. All the reflections, look at that. You can see the walkway reflections, the yellow arrows, stuff like that, which really does make this amazing. Good morning, Simon. So, can we still get that? Can we pick up the other VOR yet? That's interesting. We're only 33 miles away. So we need a plan B. We could, if we can't get 11415. Let me just check I've got the right frequency. 11415. 11415, yeah, that's correct. There's another one just after it. I don't know if it's a slightly more powerful transmitter. 116.3. Let's just try that. No, we're not picking that one up either. Willie, you were chatting with Phil that flies on his stream last night. You've both agreed the DC-6 will not be in your hangar. You'll leave it to the fidget. See, you know, Willie, I thought this would have been right up your street, this aircraft. And I must admit, I didn't think it was going to be a regular in my hangar when it first came out. But since it has come out, the fact that I get to combine airliner flying with old school navigation, it's just got something about it. It really has. I still can't land the damn thing, so anything could happen when we get to Shannon. But it's just the detail in it. really, really nice. Jogo Silva? No, I'm not on VATSIM. God, no. Not yet. I'm wondering if VATSIM controllers are having to contend with loads of people flying the flying the DC-6 on VATSIM. Right, so just keep an eye on this. Mixture is too lean. Where are they down here? Let's have a quick look. So if we move these down to auto lean, would that help? Let's try. Oh no, they're already at auto lean. They're already at auto lean, so they should be fine. Getting close to that VOR. Still not picking up the one we need. In fact, hang on. Switch that back 11415. No, we're still not picking that up. Right. So in that case, then, I'm not really sure what they do here in real life. Can we get Waterford? 368. An MDB. We'll just point towards it. 368. Let's try. Hang on. What was it? 368. We're going to have to cross the Irish Sea. 368. Can we pick that up? No, we're not picking that up either. Right, in that case, I'm not picking up any waypoints after Stumble VOR. In which case, all we can sort of do is head outbound. Oh, go away. All we can sort of do is head outbound on a general heading up here of around, there's a bit of a guesstimate this, we're around 340. Oh no, we'll have 330. If we had a heading 330, we should then get somewhere close. Miles away, and here you can see the coastline. But I can't see Ireland. Oh, actually, can I? Just in the distance. See, it's not that far away. I don't know why I'm not picking that VOR up. Rather frustrating. So Cumberland, you think most of the frequencies are LF and the DC-6 is high frequency. We've picked a few up. I've never had a problem picking them up once I've got close enough to, but yeah, I'm not picking them up at the moment. But we are about to leave England, well, Wales. It's behind us pretty soon. We'll head out over the Irish Sea, hopefully, to come and find the next VR, the Glentig VR. That looks nice. Where's this? Anybody know? Oh, Comrade, did I put 3680? I'll double check that in a second. Well, let's just get back in and 3 miles away. Still not picking up the VOR that I'm after. Double checking that frequency, 11415, and I can't break. No, it was 368. There's a decimal point there. Don't know if you can see that, because ADF's they tune to 0.0 or 0.5. Right, we've just passed that VOR, so let's turn right then to a heading of 330. Bring that back level. There we go, we're slightly overshot there, but that's okay. We're now off in the general direction that we want to be in. Let's hope we spy land pretty soon, shall we? Otherwise, it could be interesting. 116.3 is the one after that we want. So let's just change these. We want to now track 11415. I'm not picking that up yet. And then the one after that is 116.3. Let's pop that there. So now flick that back. Oh, we've just picked it up. There we go. It had a range of about 60 miles. Right, that's okay then. But I'm not close enough to be able to track it, it seems. We're heading towards it, that's the main thing. So 13 miles away. This should come to life pretty soon. So we are only 57 miles away and we're headed towards that. That's the main thing. And then from there, let's get rid of that. From there, we're coming to Wolf Trap. And then we need to start thinking about how on earth we're going to descend for our approach. So we want to be about 3,000 feet before flying over the Shannon VOR. So about 15 miles outside of Shannon, we're going to be 3,000 feet. Let me just check what's the terrain like around there. Well, minimum off-road altitude is 4,400 feet, but I think we're okay. Visibility is overcast, last we heard, so we need to be a little bit careful. Let's just have a look at some of the charts around here. Oh no, we should be alright. If we get down to 3,500 feet, that should be good. And the reason we need to do that is because we need to fly level for a little while in order to slow down. It takes a while for this aircraft to slow down. Normally we need to begin the descent, start planning that descent a lot earlier than we normally would with regards to an Airbus 320. So let's just do a little bit of a calculation then here. We're currently at flight level 120. We're going to want to be at flight level, well, we'll call it 3,000. So we need to lose we need to lose 9,000 feet, and it normally takes about 5 miles per 1,000 feet. So a little bit of mental arithmetic, we'll work that out. So around 18 miles, and then add another 30 for slowing that down. So that's going to be about 40, about 50 miles away from Shannon. We can start that descent. Combrig, I've not downloaded any extra scenery for Shannon, so that that shouldn't be a problem. Still heading close to that VOR, that's okay. Have we got the next one? Have we picked that one up yet? No. Just check that's correctly tuned. 1163, 1145, they're both correct. Wish I could pick up some directions for this VOR. As it is, I've got nothing. All I know is we're still headed towards it because the numbers are counting down. It must have been not terrifying, but it must have been rather an ambiguous feeling back in the 60s doing a transatlantic flight and all you could see around you for hours is water, flying in one of these things. Or even Pacific, they cross the Pacific, don't they? Well, they island hop across the Pacific. So again, just looking out the window really to try and work out. The Glentic VOR is right on the coast, as you can see, and I've not got anything else to help me with any navigation at the moment. There's nothing for me to tune to. Combrig Easyjet budget has dropped due to COVID, so we're now on old school aircraft. I like it. Also, just going to check. We can't pick up the Shannon VOR just yet, can we? 113.3. Let's have a quick look at that one. We'll get that in anyway. 113.3. All VORs do have a different range. Oh, we can pick up Shannon. We can go direct to Shannon now. We're 120 miles away. Right, so Danny, I don't know if you're still around. You wanted to know how to track a VOR. Hopefully we'll be able to track this one, of course. If we don't get any distance, sorry, we've got the distance. If we don't actually get a track from it, we can't. But if I now go and put the VOR frequency for Shannon in there, 113.3. So let's pop that in. There we go. We've now picked up the Shannon VOR. So now what we're going to do is we know that we're headed towards this waypoint here, this VOR. We're going to make a left-hand turn and we want to point the aircraft towards Shannon. How do we know what heading we need to fly to get to the Shannon VOR? Well, we've now picked it up. We're now going to scroll the OBS until that line becomes centered. There it is. Slight movement. There we go. That looks pretty centered. And now we need to fly that heading to track the Shannon VOR, which this wonderful autopilot system, I can now flick that to localizer setting. The aircraft is now going to start tracking towards the Shannon VOR. We're 116 miles away. which is about half an hour. So we should be on the ground in about 40 minutes, boys and girls. So I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different stream this morning. Will it tune the NDB to Newcastle? You don't mean the one in the UK, do you? Is there a Newcastle NDB that I wasn't aware of? I'll just have a look at the charts. Whereabouts do you mean? What we can do is, if we have a look, there's another one just here, 387. We were tuned to Waterford, but we weren't picking that up. We might pick up this one now, the Clonmel, which is 387. If we tune to that, so 387. Can we pick that one up? There it is, look, it's spinning around. Oh, and it looks like we're going to fly almost directly overhead of that, looking at the way, because we're pointing towards it, which means we've now got a good idea on a position. So, we're going to fly looking at this. We're flying directly over the Clonmel NDB, tracking towards Shannon. So we must be coming over here, over the coast. To Shannon. If we look out the window, actually, I think that would be a good. There it is. So what did we say? We were going to start descending around about 50, 55 miles away from Shannon, didn't we? To get to around 3,500 feet. That looks good to me. So at about 50 miles we'll have our descent. Seen the aircraft banking right there. Presumably that's to make sure we do track that VOR correctly. Maybe a little bit of wind. Air Trooper 37, it really doesn't take that long. The problem is, if you're not familiar with the old school navigation of using things like VORs and NDBs and how to track them, then it becomes a bit of a minefield. What I'd suggest then is fly the Cessna, the default Cessna that comes with the simulator. Fly that around your local airfield and track VORs that way. That's the way to do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, take advantage today of some fantastic savings and offers from our Inside magazine. This can be found in the back pocket of the seat in front of you. These shopping ideas and gifts offer you tax-free savings with many items not available anywhere else and exclusive to you during your flight today. Our cabin crew will be around shortly to also offer you the chance to purchase airline lottery tickets. There is a chance to win some fantastic prizes, including cash and holidays. We accept payments in cash or credit and debit cards. Thank you for your support of this channel.
Captain Scoop, let's land. We shall be landing, but not until we get to an airport, mate. Not landing before we get to the airport. There's the beautiful Irish coast. Okay, so the other thing I need to grab, because it's not going to be popped in automatically by a flight management computer, is the ILS. We can track ILSs, so that's alright, we can use this one. So the ILS frequency, which does have a DME on it as well, so that's nice. 109.5. So Edward, for the cabin crew announcements, I use an add-on called Self-Loading Cargo. So I'm now going to put that in here, 109.5. We also need to know the course, which is 056. Landing on runway 06. So once we get to the Shannon VOR, we're going to fly on a heading of 250 till we're 14 miles away from the Shannon VOR. We're then going to make that left-hand turn, all at 3,000 feet, to then hopefully intercept the glide slope and come down for what I hope will be a decent landing. How far are we away now? 88 miles. Willie, that's a good point. I should have mentioned that, shouldn't I? Specifically fly the 152 without the Garmin GPS, as that kind of defeats the object. You want one with the old steam gauges, which doesn't look too dissimilar to the sets of gauges I've got in front of me. And I think for those of you that are new to the world of flight simulation, if you haven't had that sort of background, a lot of this can become a little bit overwhelming. For those of you who, like me, started, well, 25, 30 years ago, even with the real old school simulators like Flight Sim 95, that sort of stuff, that's where you learn to track VOR, because they didn't have GPS on those simulators. So that's where you learn to fly tracking VORs and things like that. And even when I'm flying the Airbus, I will still put VORs in the RadNav page. I like having VORs in there. They're a fail-safe. They're not going anywhere. The GPS goes down. You want to know exactly what to do and where you're going. And we've seen it happen. We saw it happen recently on a stream where we were landing in Geneva and the flight plan disappeared. The whole flight plan disappeared. But because I got VORs already programmed in on the RadNav page, I got the charts. We could continue with the approach and avoiding all the terrain that goes around it as well. Definitely want to avoid the terrain around Geneva. Someone, thank you very much, sir, for the subscription. Not sure how we're doing with subscribers at the moment. I think we're doing quite well, aren't we? We're about 12,500 now. Really is amazing. So we're going to get our flight engineer ready to start our descent in around 20 miles time. So this is a real-world historic flight that we're doing. I have never landed at Shannon before, so this is going to be brand new to me, as it is to you, unless you're familiar with it. I'm not. I've certainly never landed making a sort of instrument approach without the use of the flight computer. So this really is going to be an old school landing in an aircraft which I'm still getting to grips with. So anything could happen. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Wish us luck. And I hope we've provided with you some entertainment, if nothing else, this morning. If you haven't done so already, guys, please do hit the like button for me. It really does make a big difference to the channel. I'd really appreciate that if you haven't done so. And welcome to the new channel members as well. Really thankful for your support there. And if you are an England fan who watched the game last night, I hope you're not feeling too hungover. I'll try and give you a nice steady descent and landing, so you don't feel too sick. Air Trooper 37, yes, it is Ireland we're landing at. We're landing in at Shannon. Oh, Chalty, you're just going to go and collect the quadrant add-on. How lucky for you, sir. I've seen your setup. It confused me slightly because you were flying perpendicular to the screen. I presume you don't actually fly like that. That was just as you were setting it up. Willie, can we walk through the approach again? Certainly we can. So we're 66 miles away. In about 10 miles we're going to start the descent. The flight engineer is going to set the aircraft for the descent, and we're going to descend around I think it's around about 500 feet per minute. No, sorry, about 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet per minute. So what we're going to do is, once we pass over the Shannon VOR, just here, not located at the airport, here's the airport, here's the Shannon VOR. So after the Shannon VOR, we're going to cross over it. We're then going to fly and turn to a heading of 250. Once we are 14 miles away from the Shannon VOR, we're then going to tune to the localizer. We're going to make a left-hand turn. We're going to intercept that localizer at 3,000 feet, and then we're going to come in with the localizer and the glide slope, God willing. And do we have the gross weight of the aircraft? So we're going to be landing at around about, looks like we're going to be about 83,000 pounds. We've got a VAP speed up here to look out for that. So that's going to be about 134 knots to land. Oh, sorry, that's the approach speed. There we go. Right, let's get the flight engineer back.
26 inches, please. Setting 26 inches.
Let's set a rate of descent.
26 inches set. Descent checklist, please. Altimeters and flight instruments cross-checked. Seatbelt signs on. On. Engine lowers low. Low. Descent checks are complete.
Okay, and we have to remember to turn off the altitude control, which is just there, so that we can control with the trim. And down we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I then once again, this is your captain speaking, and you will be delighted to hear that we will shortly be starting our descent into our destination. The cabin crew will shortly prepare the aircraft for our arrival, and it will make sure all the aisles are now clear, so that the captain can make the way around the aircraft safely. That would be most appreciated. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy your flight.
So Willie, yeah, that's exactly right. We fly the 250 radial outbound from the Shannon VOR and then return left inbound to 056 which should be the ILS. So, Ball, the beam up down to 70 to slow you down. Right, well, this is where I will quite happily take advice, because at the moment the flight engineer is sorting this out. So do I trust the flight engineer or not? We've slowed down. We're slowing down a little bit, as we can see. And here's that cloud bank. Willie, that is a good point. It did take 3 people to fly this plane, and I think hats off to PMDG. They've done a fantastic job of implementing that flight engineer, haven't they? They've given people like me a chance to be able to fly this aircraft without too much trawling through the 366 pages of information that comes with it. So we need to just increase that sink rate a little bit. Sink rate, descent rate. We're looking at about 1,000 feet per minute. And I'm literally just moving this dial notch by notch. There we go. So down we come over the happy farmlands of Ireland. Once we've then leveled off, we want to tell the flight engineer that we are in range. So the flight engineer should set the manifold pressure to 26 inches, which he has done. We want revs around 2,200, so I could perhaps look at to reduce that. So, if we do turn him off, hang on, let's just turn him off. Let's move the revs back a little bit. And Paul, what did you just say? Slow it down to about 70, did you say? Go on then, I'll go for it. There we are. So, I'm no longer in the hands of the flight engineer. I'm in the hands of Paul. Paul's my new flight engineer. If this goes wrong, Paul, I now have plausible deniability. Yeah, Paul, no, I wanted to reduce the revs as well. They looked a little bit too high. I think it should be around, what is it, 2,200 for our descent? And they were looking a bit too high, so I just pulled those back a little bit. And now we've done the BMEP as well. So we're now just below 8,000 feet, coming up on 8,500 feet. want to remain visual with this terrain here as well, so that's worth keeping an eye on, isn't it? I think 4,000 feet is the minimum we can go to at this point until we're within 25 miles of the Shannon VOR. What are we, 27 miles at the moment? You have to be very, very delicate with these thrust levers, throttles. I keep calling them thrust levers, that's Airbus. But very delicate with the throttles. And then once we get to around 175 knots, that's when we can start getting some flaps out. When we level off, of course, that is when the speed shall really bleed off. I find rather amusing, I've just checked self-loading cargo and it says that 9 passengers are connected to the aircraft Wi-Fi. 20 miles away and 6,500 feet. Don't worry about that too much, guys. Don't worry about that too much because we do have to fly over the Shannon VOR, remember. I'm just going to increase that rate of descent a little bit. Okay, looks good.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be relieved to know we are about to land. Please make sure you are seated with your belt fastened and your trays in the upright position. Please turn off all electronic devices until after landing. Thank you.
So Combrig, the ideal is around 100 according to a pro in a tutorial video. Fair enough. And land with adjusting flaps and not revs. See, that's interesting as well. Obviously, again, the flaps out adds drag, which slows the aircraft down. The speed will bleed off once we've got down to 3,500, which I'm now going to start slowing that down, that rate of descent. And the speed is going to bleed off nicely in the next few miles. Okay, so happy now to engage the altitude lock. We'll hold that. And we'll let the aircraft begin to slow down. Now we can see that speed is bleeding off. We're still 12 miles away from Shannon, and we've got to fly over Shannon as well, remember. So now we've leveled off, we can see that speed is coming back. And we can now tell him that we are in range.
Cooling turbine. Normal. Fuel booster pumps. On low. Fuel tank selectors. Mains on, crossfeed off. Hydraulic bypass valve. Down. No smoking signs. On. In-range checks complete.
So those in-range checks are now complete, but I want to disable that because I don't want him to control the thrust, the throttles rather. Seven miles out, and we want to now get those flaps out. So let's go flaps down to 10. I'm going to turn the lock off and continue our descent a little bit now as well. So I'm actually having to really concentrate on this quite a bit at the moment, guys. We can now get flaps 15 out. Or I should be able to. There we go, flaps 15. 4 miles away. And that magic number is a heading of 250 in a minute. Just continue that rate of descent. We've obviously put flaps down, so that increases our lift. I have to be aware of that. 3 miles out. We said it was overcast, didn't we? This. Oh, I didn't want this. Oh, I wanted to be able to see out the window in case things were going wrong. $155, next flaps, let's set those at 20. There it is. 2 miles. And then we're now going to make a left-hand turn to a heading of 250 in a second. So let's just center that. We're going to flick it back over to the gyro pilot. We're 1 mile away. We'll watch that spinning around in a second. Here's the airport. Now let's begin that turn to a heading of 250 as we cross over the VOR. I'm also going to flick this now so we're tuning to the ILS frequency. Just gone a bit too far, so let's just bring that back around. I don't know if I can pop these. I've just tried the right alt key to see if I can pop those out. Sadly I can't, because they're a little bit small to try and see now. Let's fly that heading. There we go, level that up. There's the ILS that we've just got. So when we're 14 miles away, then we need to be making a left-hand turn. We're still on a nice steady descent as well. The heading for the ILS is 056, so let's spin this around. There we go. Let's level off just there. So we're actually at 2,500 feet. That's okay. Happy to hold 2,500 feet. So we're now on the outbound radial of 250 knots. Once we get 14 miles, left-hand base turn to finals. Willie, yeah, that's. I was just about to say, but you've clocked it. We're on the ILS now. We're set up for the ILS. Christian, have I just read that right? Someone made a Mario Kart for the flight simulator. That's crazy.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
And then once we've landed, we want to vacate right. Just keeping an eye on that speed a little bit. Don't want to slow down too much. And let's do our before landing check.
Flaps 20. Setting flaps 20. 20 flaps set. Mixtures rich, please. Auto rich. Mixtures set. Gear up and down, please. Gear up and down.
Didn't actually think we'd need the gear down just yet, because that's going to add a lot of drag. Don't want to do that. Tell you what, I'm going to abort that. Because if I'm not careful, I'm going to bleed the speed off too much. Which means we're also going to lose altitude. As you can see, we are losing altitude at the moment. That glide slope's coming in, so we can probably not. We don't have to wait until we're 14 miles out, of course. So there's that glide slope. Let's start making a left-hand turn, shall we, to intercept. I've just brought that landing gear back up as well because we're too slow. I didn't want the flight engineer to do that just yet. Get that airspeed back up. Clearly I ran the before checks far too soon. So we're now making a left-hand turn. Oh, there's the ILS. And we're now just turning onto our finals. So we can use the flaps to help us slow down. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to disconnect the autopilot, and that's fine. So I am now flying the aircraft. Visibility is good, so we shouldn't need to worry too much about not seeing the airport. flying old school. There's our ILS dial. There's the runway. And we're 7 miles out. So we're using flaps to help with that. I just want to set that trim a little bit. And again, this is where I'm used to the Airbus, in that I like to be able to pull back when I'm landing rather than having to force the nose down too much. So now let's configure for our landing. Gear is coming down. Now I'm happy to run those before landing checks.
Flaps 20. Setting flaps 20. 20 flaps set. Mixtures rich, please. Auto rich. Mixtures set. Gear up and down, please. Gear up and down. Gear down and locked. 3 rings. Props. 2400 RPM.
So the flight engineer is now setting all the power settings.
2400 RPM set. Cow flaps. Plus 3 degrees. Cow flaps set. ADI. ADI off. ADI is off. Landing lights. Speed good. Extending lights.
And I've got control still over the
Lights
flaps,
extended and on.
which should help me slow the aircraft down.
Set call. Before landing checks complete.
There we can see that speed is now bleeding off using the flaps. So that's good. Just going to raise that nose slightly to keep now on that vertical profile. We've got 2 white, we've got 2 red. Thankfully, it's not too windy today either. So now it's a matter of trying to maintain that attitude. Bit of a bounce, but we're down. I don't mind that. A little bit of brake pressure, and we're done. I'll take that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now arrived at our destination. The crew will now commence preparing the aircraft for the boarding. Can passengers please remain in your seats with your seatbelts fastened until the captain turns off the seatbelt sign. You may now turn on your phones and electronic devices. Thank you for choosing to fly with us today, and please consider becoming a channel member to receive extra benefits on your future flights with us. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
So we'll taxi the terminal, and I also have a replay of that lined up as well, so I can sit back and relax and enjoy that with you guys. What a beautiful aircraft. So we'll just get parked up, and then we'll run a replay of that. Let's see what it looked like from an outside point of view. Christian, we're alive. Yeah, that's more than I can say for the German team. Sorry, that was a low dig. But we don't get to celebrate that often. Oh, Willie, no, I'll never say goodbye to the 320. That's my bread and butter. This isn't a handcrafted airport, but it looks like I've actually got parking stands in here. So was that part? This must have been done as part of the UK and Ireland sim update. Although they need to sack the guy that draws the yellow lines. I'm not. I could have gone over there, couldn't I? Where I've got staff waiting for me, but nah. Danny, the difference is one's cargo, one's passenger. So I think is it the B that's the passenger and the A that's cargo. So that's the difference between those. Right, there we are. I'm not entirely sure that a jetway is going to connect up to this aircraft. It'll just dissect the propellers. But there we go. So, should we have a look at the landing then, guys? Let me just see if I can sort that out. I'll put my parking brake on so we don't go anywhere. And let me just hit... let me just check some of the options here. Let me just hit stop. And then we'll load the recording of that. And let's hit fly. I have no idea how well this aircraft is going to manage with the with the flight control replay. That could be interesting. So let's just see. We'll just get her when she's on finals and turn that around. There we go. Oh, self-loading cargo crew. Sorry about that, guys. I've just flung you through time and space. Just needed a second as well for the scenery to load. You can see that's populating back in. I think I've also got some sort of autopilot disconnect buzzing going off in the background. Look at the reflection of the spinning propeller just down there. How great is that? There is an alarm going off in the flight deck. I don't know what that is. Sounds like the altitude hold. It could be. You just have to ignore that for now. So guys, what do we think? Have we convinced anybody else to take the plunge and buy this fantastic aircraft? It requires a lot of managing. It obviously isn't the it obviously isn't like an Airbus or any modern airliner for that fact. You really have to be on top of this. Oh, we could just see the landing gears coming down there as well. That's neat. I like that. The other thing, of course, as well, is that we get to grips with navigating using old school methods. So there's a bit of moment there where we couldn't pick up the weaker VORs, but then we did pick up the Shannon VOR, so we could go direct. Willie, which camera are you after, my friend? Which one? Which one's the approach camera? Is that one of the options? Showcase fixed. We've just got the drone. Got external 1. Got external 2. Don't worry, I'll do a couple more replays and show off the different angles for this. But yeah, once you've got that power setting set, use the gear, use the flaps, and that will be the way to slow the aircraft down. Eastbirds, or Wesley. No, there's no weather radar on board. You can have a Garmin GPS system, but what you don't have is or you can have the Garmin GPS, but you can also disable that and have one of the old school radios, which is what I used for this flight. So I think if ever I'm flying this aircraft, I won't be using GPS. I'll be using old school navigation. Danny, it could be a weak transmitter. They all transmit up to different ranges. So obviously the one at the airport, that's a big important one, which aircraft will need it. So that one's probably a higher powered VOR, so you can pick it up further. Do we want a runway side cam for the next replay? We can do that. We can have a look at that. It just looks amazing, doesn't it? One of the things I am a little bit sad that PMDG didn't do. Sorry. I was just listening for the I was just listening for the gears touching down, and I've also realised I've got the parking brake on. Let's take that off, otherwise I'm going to break something. They haven't got any window seats, which is really sad. I really wanted to have window seats. So these views here we've obviously got, but there's no windows available for you to get a nice little cone, which is a big shame. So Wesley, is this VFR? No, if you're still flying between, if you're still using VORs to navigate, you're still technically flying IFR. You're still using instrument rules. Obviously I had no air traffic control today, so I didn't have to say, right, can I go direct to the Shannon VOR? But if I was on VATSIM, that's what I would have to do. Those flaps. No wonder it slows the aircraft down. They're almost 90 degrees, aren't they? Well, it looks like it. Right, so what I'm going to do then, that's where we touch down. Let me just position the drone camera. Hang on a second. Let me just grab that drone camera. So this is where we touch down. If you want that drone camera landing, let me just see if I can sort that out for you. And I need to undock the drone camera. So let's set her up. Can't see the landing gear yet. I'm hoping that is down. There it is. Oh, where's the aircraft gone? It changed a little bit, then it disappeared. Look at that. There's some rendering issues, isn't there, with the outside? Maybe because it's that detailed. I don't know. What a fantastic aircraft to learn and fly, though. Right, guys, so that's me done for this morning, and I'm not entirely sure when the next stream will be. If there isn't another one tonight, it's probably going to be Friday evening before we get the next one in. There most certainly shall not be one on Saturday evening. There's a rather important football match. Willie, do you want one more? I am going to give you one more. I'll give you one more replay as we play the stream out. So big thank you to all you guys who stuck with us for the flight today. Old school navigation indeed. Big thank you to our Easyjetsimpilot channel members, new ones and the old ones, of course. Really do appreciate your support. Makes a big difference to the time I can spend putting what I do into the channel. So really looking forward to seeing you all very, very soon on the next flight. Big thanks for following along today. I look forward to seeing you on the next one, and as I say, I'm going to set up the final replay just to play us out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I shall see you all on the next stream very soon.